Good morning and Jai Hind, everyone.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. I'm
Good morning,
audible?
sir.
Hi, good morning. I'm audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All well. Subodh, Renuka, Jai, Utkarsh,
Yes, sir.
Vikas, Gayatri.
Yes, sir.
Who is heading for SSB at the earliest? Anyone? No one.
So I didn't receive the dates yet.
Okay, not received. Couple of students have received. Utkarsh,
Good morning, sir.
good morning. Jai. Okay, we will have two sessions today. One will be lecturette, another will be we'll see who all would like to participate. That will be group discussion. Group discussion topic is current affairs related topic, and you must see the four options which are generated there, which may help you in responding in group discussion or in lecturette or in interview, because some questions are obvious which are likely to come in your forthcoming SSB. This issue is burning. New dimension is setting up. That's why that topic with those options is generated. We will start with lecturette, but before that, Dhiraj, what are you preparing?
Sir, special entry.
Which one?
Sir, 52. NCC special entry.
Okay, okay. Because you are also joining. I think before this, you attended lecturette session.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Utkarsh, how are you?
Yes, sir. I'm all fine, sir.
Okay, where you are taken admission for which stream?
Uh, Sir, I have chosen for a BBA in MGM.
Okay, no issue.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Gayatri,
Yes, sir. Good morning, sir.
good morning. You are anticipating SSB?
Yes, sir. AFSB on 27th of June.
Okay, we will discuss. Even Nikita has got her SSB. I think she will be the first one to go. So we can have interaction one on one or a small group where we can discuss your doubts or any areas where you want clarification or some kind of tips. We will do that. Okay, we'll start with lecturette. Who will be the first one? Any volunteer? Or should I nominate? We'll move fast because then we will have a template of group discussion also. No volunteer, initiative is missing. How you will develop your OLQs? This is how, on a day to day basis, we have to develop that. No matter how shy you are, how laid back you are, but when it comes to performance, you must wake up and behave accordingly. You are on a stage. When you go to SSB, you are on a stage. Same way in any session, just get into different avatar and start performing more energetically. Okay? That is how you have to change yourself. You may be a very silent character. You may not be talking whole day to anyone. But when it comes to this session or when you land in SSB, you should be a different one to the outer world. Okay, just try and practice that. Otherwise, it will never come naturally to you. You have to believe that difference. Okay, I am able to switch over to different moods, different energy levels, and you must do it. Okay, shall I nominate?
Sir, I'll speak.
Okay, Nikita. You want time or you can start?
Uh, Time?
No, no. Matlab, you want to prepare your points or you are ready?
No, I'm ready.
Okay. Subodh, keep time.
Yes, sir. You can start.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. The topic which I have selected for my lecturate is Sri Lanka's economic crisis. First of all, let's see what is the economic crisis. It represents a situation in which the economy of a country passes through a sudden decrease of its force, decrease usually brought about by a financial crisis. Now, let's see why this happened. There are multiple reasons behind this. First and foremost is tourism. Sri Lanka's almost 17% of the economy depends on the tourism, and because of the pandemic, the whole world in the world the tourism sector was shut, so it impacted its economy. Then second, just before the pandemic had strike, the government, the at that time government of the Sri Lanka took decision that they'll lower the tax cut, which will encourage people to spend more in the market, so that the more demand will be generated and there will be more spending in the market. But this was the good decision. But as pandemic, again because of pandemic, people were not moving out of their house because of lockdown, so the purchasing parity was less, and because of which the tax collection in the country was very less, so it also affected the GDP of the country. Third reason is uh, organic farming decision. The overnight the decision was taken by the Sri Lankan government that means from next year there will be a ban on pesticides and fertilizers. It is proven fact that organic farming produces less produce as compared to the farming which is done with the help of fertilizers and pesticides. Now, so because of which, what happened is the country, which was self-sufficient in few uh, in few sectors, like means in few food grains like rice, it was self-sufficient. But because of organic farming, they were not able to produce that much rice, so they had to import rice as well from other countries, and because of which, because of which already economy was suffering, and now they had to import all the basic essentials like fuel,
Last 30 seconds.
sugar, then tea, everything. So this also impacted. And lastly, the foreign reserves, as there was very less foreign reserves, so they were not even able to import all these things. So not so now their approach, I think approach should be first to put off the ban from the country to do the organic farming. Let country practice the normal farming. Second, they can ask for the help from the IMF and World Bank, rather than asking help from the nation under which they can go into debt trap. Thank you.
Okay, good, Nikita. Points were good. To the point, it was there. But flow has to come further smooth. No stucking up or no interruptions. Mental thinking should be very, very smooth. And how it will be judged? It will be through that delivery of speech. It will happen. Maybe on this virtual platform, it is difficult to get that kind of flow, but you have to practice. Okay, I have to go systematically, one by one. My points should come so easily, and that will happen. No issue. Why we are conducting lecture 8?
Yes, sir.
Hmm. Aim is when you land in SSB, you should be in a flow of talking. You should not be missing on that flow. That is why this lecturate or your own schedule should involve lot of quality discussions, lot of quality thought generations. Because this whole SSB is all about your ideas, your thinking. Because leaders are generally thinking elements. They are not workers. They are primarily leaders who can think, instruct, initiate things, and get the work done. And then they themselves are worker also. There is no doubt about it. But more importantly, your this part, it should be alive and active. And how it will happen? When you get involved in quality discussions, quality speeches, quality kind of readings, then you will be in that flow, and it will automatically get translated into SSB that okay, this is a personality where a lot of officer like qualities are reflected. Okay, as far as Nikita's topic concerned, very very relevant in today's scenario, what is happening in Sri Lanka, a huge economic crisis, what Nikita has already highlighted. Firstly, about that organic farming decision, then tourism dependent country, taxes related things, and unstable political environment. That is also a key. A lot of debt is seen on Sri Lanka, and this is a classic case for whole world. When you are under debt, a lot of loans, especially China's loans on these smaller countries. This is first case in our neighborhood where we are seeing the results. Pakistan will be next in line. When you are under too much of debt, your country cannot function properly. You will be under stress, economic stress, and that is perfectly seen in Sri Lanka. Though they tried to recover after the Hambantota port episode, but somehow they are not able to come out successfully. They are now into a very very chaotic situation. Okay, good, Nikita. Who is next?
Misa.
Okay, Renuka. Uh, Next will be Subodh, so that I nominate now. After Renuka, Subodh. Nikita, keep time.
Yes, sir. Renuka, you can start.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. For today, my lecture topic is food security in India and how pandemic has impacted it. So, as we all know, food security means availability of adequate food which should be available to every individual, and that too at an affordable price. Despite rapid economic growth that has been occurred in our country, but still low access to food remains the one of the major problems which is still not dealt completely in India. Right to food is a fundamental right, and yet food security remains an unfetched dream. Food security, we can say that food security mostly depends or has four major aspects of it, that is the availability, access, stability, and utilization of it. As we all know that a challenge for Indian agriculture sector is today to feed even an ever growing population. That, as we all know, that we are the second largest population in the world, and hence we have a food security target for us is even more bigger picture than related to the other countries. Adequate food production is not sufficient to ensure the food security, as we know that for today, not all food produced is the food consumed. So a lot amount of food is also lost or wasted, which is one of the major problem that should be looked and dealt in the food security systems in India. We all know that we have been a lot of crisis happened on the food security aspect also when the COVID-19 crisis stuck in India. Though we had many initiatives to deal it, like PM Antyodaya Yojana, food grains under PDS were also increased, almost doubled for a period of time. Direct cash transfers were also made at that time. But as we all know, as of now, 67% of the population is getting free and subsidized ration under the National Food Security Act. Due to COVID 19, these numbers have only been increased and never been decreased. Giving food for free could be a temporary help, but I think it could not be a permanent solution to deal on a food security point of view for the whole country as considering in a picture. Especially for a country like India with huge population and huge needs, demands that also in a various remote locations available. Food security is one of the major aspect because it is we also know that we are here to not just to fulfill India's growth, but to consider it as a developing country, and hence it is one of the major factors, like we have to prove by 2030 to fulfill all
Last
the
30
SDGs.
seconds.
Though here, zero hunger is one of the major SDG, which is the self development, sustainable development goal Number two, which needs to be achieved by 2030. In past, multiple efforts were executed to attain food security by like massively increasing the food grain production, green revolution, but still. The need for building and capacity building at different level needs to be done and progressed in a particular direction.
Time up.
Better management of food supply, according to the demand, will hence be the first and primary most concern that should be implemented for the better execution of food security schemes in India. Thank you.
Okay, another relevant topic, food security. In pandemic, we have seen how self-reliant we as a country. That is fortunately a biggest strength for us as a nation. Food security and energy security are two important factors which can decide whether we can be superpower nation or not. If we are lacking in these things, we cannot aspire to become a superpower. Energy. Nowadays, especially in Maharashtra, when people are talking, there is a load shedding or energy crisis. This is one aspect of it for day to day functioning. Our household energy requirement, industrial house requirement, then comes to the strategic things where we require fuel or to the level of atomic energy. So, from that perspective, energy security, food security, yes, we are self reliant. In fact, we are leaders in the world for many things which are produced, whether it is milk or food grains or sugarcane or whatever, cereals. So, these are assets for us. But more importantly, nowadays, is quality of it, then making it as our asset in a true sense by empowering our farmers, because ultimately it is not only the traders who should get benefited, it is the last man on ground, that is farmer. They should get benefited, which is not happening. We need some kind of mechanism where small farmers get motivated for this business activity. This is the business, but somehow a farmer is the last link in this firma, this activity, and not getting benefited adequately, commensurate to the efforts of farmers, which is not happening. Maybe government need to analyze that farmers, if they get motivated across the board in all types of farming, then probably we can reach to the superpower nation much faster. Whether it is $5 trillion economy or superpower status or empowering other sectors, which will largely depend upon this farming related things. That is, food security is one aspect of that, but another farming related activities also. Like we are talking very um, energetically about future of fuel, which will be related to agro processing. Imagine if next fuel sector is fed from agro processing, byproducts of agro related things, then we will be the Middle East of future in terms of oil rich country, because that is the biggest thing, energy. So if our farming sector contributes to the energy of the energy needs of the future, the economic development will be multifold beyond our imagination. We are talking theoretically, it is yet to take shape practically. It depends how technology is being utilized, how government supports these kind of initiatives, and some sincere efforts are required in that. Okay, Renuka, good. Food security during pandemic. This is the biggest proof that we are okay in this sector compared to many nations. In fact, all nations. Our biggest strength is this area, but somehow we need to do more justice in this sector and particularly to the
Sir,
farmers.
I want to ask one thing.
Yes,
Can we add this point in food security that food for us means country like India, food security is not the issue, but that supply chain is the issue, means which
yes,
I feel.
yes, and that is how farmers' agitations happened. Some of the policy decisions. though there are some issues which requires sorting out at national level, local level. There are some hidden agendas, some propagandas that is happening. But notwithstanding that, we cannot afford to have farming sector in an disorganized state. It is not organized the way it should have been. Of course, it is a very, very massive people's involvement. It takes time, but it is an irony actually that almost 70% people are associated with a field, and we are not clear how that field is organized or how to organize that field. It is not organized. We we are haphazard on that. Ad hocism is there. Very, very temporary related decisions are there. Farmers are not sure about their products, price fixing. A lot of issues are there. That's why people are not getting motivated. Imagine your whole batch. None of you is motivated to go to farming. Why? Even farming is an industry. A person can be entrepreneur in farming. This concept is not digestible because the environment is not there, and which is the case in many countries and in Western Maharashtra, to some extent in UP and Western UP especially, then Punjab, Haryana. This is a case where educated people. One of my course mate, after 5 years, he left and he is doing big time farming. Imagine a retired army officer, instead of going to a job, obviously he could have got good job, but he is doing very, very systematic farming. Satisfied. In fact, a business person now in that field. So this is a case we need to really do justice to this factor that agri business should be the talk of the town, but the infrastructure has to be there for that. Okay, uh, Subodh, who is next volunteer? Will move fast.
So me.
Okay, Dhiraj. Renuka, keep time.
Yes, sir. You may start.
Dhiraj not audible.
Sir, am I audible?
Yes, now audible.
Can I start, sir?
Yes, you may start, Dhiraj. I have rescheduled the time.
Gentlemen, my today's topic is women in armed forces. In 1888, women were recruited for the Indian military nursing services. It was only in 1992 that women officers were inducted into non-medical role in Indian Armed Forces as a short service commission officer. In 2008, the center granted a permanent commission to women officers only in legal and education corps. After Supreme Court intervention in 2019, women can apply for permanent commission in Army. In 2021, with the Supreme Court intervention, girls were allowed to write the National Defense Academy entrance examination for the first time. As the gender barrier is lifted, around 2 lakh women have applied for the examination. By this, it is evident that now more women than ever are ready for the armed forces. Allowing women in combat role has been a big debate not just in India but in the entire world. As of now, only a few countries allow women in combat role. Slowly, Indian armed forces are also opening up combat role for women. Indian Air Force started inducting women as fighter pilot in 2016. The first batch of women as a soldier were inducted into Corps of Military Police in 2021. Slowly, the situation is changing, but the share of women workforce in Indian Armed Forces is very low. In the Indian National Army, which was active from 1942 to 1945 under the leadership of Subhash Chandra Bose, there was an all-women regiment in India. With the help of Supreme Court, women are now allowed in many roles in Indian Armed Forces, which were reserved for male earlier. But the share of women workforce is in Indian Armed Forces is still very low. Thank you.
Okay, Dhiraj, you need to be much smoother, much confident, and the points should flow in a systematic way. Points are organized well, relevant points, historical perspective brought in, and how the situation is improving slowly. Women in armed forces is a very, very relevant topic in lecturate or in even in group discussion or maybe a small question in interview about your views or what is the modernization in armed forces in all aspects which is happening. If you see how our nation is moving step by step, because our society has to be considered. We cannot just take example of US or any other country and start dictating here. If you notice a major difference in armed forces, the troops coming from rural area traditionally, and we only inducted women at the officer cadre so far until we took a decision in Indian Army to recruit female candidates for military police duties. That is the first experiment done around 2 years back. We have not inducted so far women in lower cadres, except the one which I highlighted just now. Second is what Dhiraj has highlighted already about military nursing service. If you notice a very, very critical difference, MNS generally called, these female candidates are put at officer cadre. The ranks are of officer, though the uniform is different and little pay differences are there. There is a purpose because our social fabric is such that people initially were not in the mindset to accept female voice as a leader. You have to understand from that perspective. So slowly things are getting settled. Slowly our society is getting uh, adjusted to this aspect. And unlike other services where it is quite fast, police and paramilitary, where women are inducted into lower cadres, you see state police, we have constables, Sipai, CISF, CRPF. Female candidates are there all over in all ranks. But in Army, Air Force, Navy, the nature of duties, the environment, and overall scenario is different. The ultimate warlike scenario is different. Combat operations scenario is different. So slowly things are improving. Firstly, we opened only support and services. Now it is the phase of combat. Combat arms. Fighter pilot is open. The transport pilot was open much before. Helicopter pilot. Now coming to army, infantry, artillery, and armored. Yet to open up, but it will open up when the situation settles, the overall scenario is perfect for that, and decision makers will take decision. So these are the differences as far as when we talk about women in armed forces. It is purely not about capability, it is about the environment, the socio-economic background of people who are operating in armed forces. Our social fabric has to be understood before taking such decisions. Now National Defense Academy opened up for girls intake. So far it was only officer cadre and at graduation level. Now maybe the government thought appropriate that time has come after 12th girls can be taken, and that is how things have improved. NDA has opened. Okay, who is next?
I will talk.
Okay, Shweta. Dhiraj, you know how to keep time?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Shweta, you can go on.
Okay.
You can start.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. This is me, Shweta Singh, and today I'm going to speak on a general topic. Today's my topic is what is meaning of success. Well, we all listen to what success since childhood. When we start our primary studies, our parents, teachers, and grandparents told us, "एक दिन सफल इंसान बनना." Let me ask one question to you all. What is the meaning of success? Many people thought that success is the peak point or highest position in our life from where we can get everything, and after that we will not face any problems or any issues. But according to me, this isn't a meaning of success. Let me put my view in front of you. According to me, meaning of success differ from person to person. Let's talk about some examples. Firstly, for lovers, getting married to their partners with their parents' permission. This is the success for them. Secondly, for students, achieving daily goals, getting full marks in their every exams. This is the meaning of success for them. Thirdly, for parents, to see their children at good position in the society. This is the success for them. At the end, for human being, staying safe and healthy. This is the meaning of success for the human being. On the basis of present scenario or situation, we can also say that meaning of success also vary from time to time. In present time, people only want to be safe, healthy and live a life and completely cure from COVID-19. Success is nothing but it is a soul satisfaction which we get at any stage of life. For this, we haven't need to study, earning money and all. If your soul gets satisfied without these things, then you are a success person. But you have money, many degrees, and you live a luxurious life, but your soul is not satisfied, then you are not a satisfied person or a successful person. So do that whatever you want to do, not that what people want to do. Thank you so much.
Okay, good. Such topics are generally taken in abstract way in group discussion. Second topic generally social, where different views can be heard. So success, what Shweta has brought out is correct. It is time to time. The same meaning can be different. Just before COVID hit the entire world, for a person to a society to a nation, the aspirations and the success and a lot of other things mean something else. During COVID time, our priorities were different. Our success perception was different. Maybe when we are moving for a purpose. But when we halt, for many reasons, it may be a sudden accident or some kind of setback in life or some kind of situation where you are stuck. For that particular moment, your success perception will be different. Imagine a paralyzed person. Suppose a person who was a corporate leader, not having single second for any activity other than his business activity, suddenly gets paralyzed, gets bedridden. Now that person's success or the aspirations to be a successful human being will be different. First priority will be to get up and get on moving. Similarly, in student phase, let's come to your stage. Be open minded. Unfortunately, we are not getting trained for failures. When we talk about success, we must talk about failures too. We must train ourselves to accept failures because that is part of our journey. Just because we never prepare mentally ourselves for setbacks, we assume that failure is totally disgrace. No, it is never a disgrace until you prove it otherwise. Whenever there is a failure and your efforts were sincere, you will come out as a big learner. You will bounce back and you will achieve success. So, from that perspective, failure is a step closer to success. In fact, it makes you more wise, more experienced because it gives you experience and you reach a step closer to your destination. You never know. For example, SSB attempts. When a person gets successful in subsequent attempts, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, can we write off all those previous attempts? No. In fact, all those attempts might have done contribution to the final success. This is how one has to see life in different scenario. So for God's sake, in student life, don't surrender to failures. Just accept it gracefully. You can have that guilt feeling, yes, to a reasonable level, that I failed. But that feeling has to be utilized positively, constructively, and courageously. You must bounce back. You must not fail for subsequent things. You have to have that sense of responsibility in life that when you fail, there are other people who are dependent on you or concerned about you. You must think about those beloved ones who are looking up to you that you are moving on and you will get success. Why I'm deliberating upon this aspect is every day on a newspaper you see news about suicides. Why a person must go for such kind of step? Of course, there are situations where you feel totally disgruntled, totally failed, totally lifeless. But then that is how you must pull up. You must prepare during normal times by visualizing that there will be tough times. Never assume that it will be bed of roses entire journey. Never. It cannot be. And it has never been for anybody. You might be seeing the brighter side of successful people, but there is always a struggle behind every success. You can go to Ratan Tata, you can go to any general, you can go to any political person and ask, was it a complete success throughout your life? Never. You see in IPL, Mumbai Indians, highest time champions, such a disastrous performance this season. So is it end of the life for that team? No, it is never like that. Unfortunately, we focus more on brighter side, neglecting the darker side, and that becomes our habit. Always be balanced. Always think about the setbacks which may come on your way and be prepared mentally. It's all mental. There's a famous saying in defense when once you go for training, it starts with such kind of golden lines. It's all mental. The way you think, you will behave. You will come up as a victorious. If you think you can, you will. Okay. Good, Shweta. Who is there next?
Ajay.
Okay, Jay. Shweta, keep time.
Okay, you may start.
Okay. Good morning to one and all. Today's my lecture topic is GST, Good Service Tax. GST is an indirect tax of consumption tax. It is used in India on the supply of goods services. It is divided into five different tax slabs for collection of tax: 0%, 5%, 12%, 18%, and 28%. However, the petroleum products and alcoholic drinks and the electricities are not under GST and instead are the tax separately by the government, state governments. The tax can came into effect from 1 July 2017 through the implementation of the one through the Indian government. The implementation of the 100 and the first amendment of the Constitution of India by the Indian government. The GST replaced existing multiple tax levied by the central and the states government. Around 38 lakhs new taxpayers have registered under the GST regime, and the total counts has crossed 1 crore if included the 64 lakhs earlier ones. Total numbers of taxpayers were above 1.14 crore in the October 2018. Thank you.
Okay, Jay. Jay, you have finished 10th?
Sir,
You are in 10th or you have finished 10th?
so finished.
Okay,
Now I am in 12th standard.
okay, okay. You must be little louder, more confident, though there is lot of improvement. Um, Points, yes, okay, you can organize, and content you can increase slowly with practice. Such are fact-based topics, GST, where you can have your opinion also how next development will happen, or compared to other countries where this system is there, why it was required, what are the benefits, what are the challenges, what are the criticism in such kind of fields. This is how you have to cover such topics. Okay, okay, good.
Okay, sir.
No volunteer, Utkarsh and Gayatri.
Yes, sir.
Uh,
Yes, sir.
so I haven't, so I haven't prepared any lecture topic, but I would like to speak about current issue.
Okay, you can go ahead. Jay, keep time.
So if yeah,
Yes.
so I can even speak at the end if someone
Okay.
has.
Maybe we are heading towards end only. I'll just see if someone wants to speak. Utkarsh, you want to speak?
Yeah, sir.
Yes, sir. I will be last.
Why
Sir, I
one
think
should be
I
last? Huh?
Yes, sir. After Didi. After Didi.
Okay.
Yes.
Just check how we think. We we seek shelters. We seek excuses. We and that is how this initiative part gets overshadowed. Okay, just feel about it. You must feel. Okay, Gayatri, you are ready?
yes, sir.
Okay. Jai, keep time.
You can start now, Didi.
Good morning, everyone. Today, I would like to speak about the current issue that has been going on. That is, we all know that the France naval company, the naval group, has pulled out of the India's P-75I submarine project. So, for the background, first I would like to explain what is the P-75 and P-75I project. So, the idea for India to have its own submarines came in 1997 to the Ministry of Defense. And under this, the P-75I project, we wanted the simple diesel electric submarine, or what we can call as the Scorpion class submarines. And we have spent 3.75 billion rupees for six Scorpion class submarines, namely INS Kalvari, Kandheri, Karanj, Vela, Vagir, and Vakshir. And the Vakshir has been currently going sea trials right now. And the execution was done by the Mazgang Docks Limited on the Indian side and the naval group on the French side. So this was all about the P-75 project. Now heading towards the P-75I project. For the P-75I project, it was the submarines under this, they should have an AIP technology. The AIP technology means the air independent propulsion technology. So, to explain this further, if we take the example of a nuclear submarine, the nuclear submarine can stay underwater for 3 4 months, and the ones with the diesel electric, they can stay underwater for a less amount of time. That is it has to come up on the surface after a few days to ensure that it's working smoothly. And for the oxygen, the AIP technology, the submarines that have it, we can say that it kind of bridges the gap between these two and is a middle ground for between the nuclear powered submarines and the diesel electric submarines, as it the when we consider the time that it has to stay underwater, it falls in between these two submarines, these two categories of submarine. And also the AIP technology kind of makes the submarine quieter than the diesel electric submarine. So India was preferring and is preferring the AIP technology for the P75I project. Now the problem here is India wanted this technology AIP system in its submarine, and India wanted it to be sea tested, or that is we can call it as sea proven. And neither France nor Russia has it tested. Okay. And secondly, the budget for the transfer of technology, France considers it to be very low. That is, the budget what we are having currently right now is only 43,000 crore. And France thinks that for transferring the technology, the amount given is very less. In the past, even Russia and Germany has pulled out of this project because of the similar reasons of the budget issues. Russia
Time out.
has considered. So can I continue?
Yes, yes.
I think I. Yeah. Russia has considered the supply of API submarines to India in the past, but it was not considering any joint manufacturing to be done. But India here wants to rather adopt a strategic partnership model. So, what the under the strategic partnership model, what we are supposed to do is the government will give the contract to an Indian strategic partner, which will partner with the foreign OEM. OEM is basically a original equipment manufacturer. In this, OEM will be the naval group of France, and the strategic partner here in India would be MDL or Larsen and Turbo. So Larsen and Toubro. So what will happen is, firstly, this will create employment, and secondly, the Indian companies or the strategic partner, what we call them, they will know that how these submarines are firstly built. Now here there's another player in the picture, that is South Korea. So South Korea has a sea tested API technology. But what India is pitching for is that DRDO has developed its own AIP technology, but it is in the sea testing phase right now. So India might take a few more years here, and the deadline for the procurement of the all the P75I submarine is 2030. So I think it would be a better plan for the DRDO to rather just develop its own technology, because anyway the time constant here is 2030, so we can have the liberty of time here, take some more years, but we will go the Atmanirbhar way, and will have a technology of its own. Plus, it will create employment and all here itself. We do not have to the budget. We do not have to increase the budget. We can do it whatever it is right now in that particular amount. And even France is ready to help us with the expertise and the assistance. So rather, why not develop a technology of our own, and use it in our submarines rather than procuring the submarines from some other country. Thank you.
Okay, good, Gayatri. This is a current topic, maybe interview. From the interview point of view, you may get into such kind of discussions where, especially naval entry, for sure, this question will be there because it is the current affair which has happened just before Prime Minister visiting France. The company which was involved in this tendering has withdrawn for technical reasons because they are not able to meet the AIP requirement of tendering or the terms of reference. The air independent propulsion system. What does it mean? Actually, it is a capability of a submarine to remain underwater or submerged for longer duration, maybe 15 days or so, without coming up. But presently, we all have diesel operated systems where it has to come up after 2 to 3 days above the water to recharge batteries. This is our drawback. Compared to Pakistan and China, both have got AIP enabled systems theoretically. Pakistan also claims to have it, China certainly has it. So we cannot remain behind. So this feasibility was not there from the France-based company, and they have withdrawn. But the overall project, which was envisaged in 1999, AIP based systems in future by 2030, it will take little longer, but Atmanirbhar mission should be on a fast track. We must get our capabilities, especially in naval front, because future is deeply into this water domain. Sea controls, we should have that capability, because land-based warfare, there is no question, we are good at it, we have faced wars, but about naval capabilities, it will be a big testing times for us. Okay, good Gayatri. Only thing from the lecturer point of view, just organize 3 minutes how efficiently you can manipulate those points, easily cover it. Introduction, main theme and main material of your topic, and then conclusion. This topic, yes, you wanted to elaborate, that is okay. Who is there now?
Yes, sir, surely, sir. Next
Okay,
time I'll take it.
okay. Utkarsh.
Yes, sir.
Utkarsh, you want to cover topic or you want to just say something?
No, sir. Topics.
Okay. Gayatri, keep time.
Yes, sir, I will.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you can start.
So, good morning, everyone. My today's topic is reservation in India. So, firstly, I would like to say that the reservation system in India was undertaken to resolve the inequality, historic tyranny, and the discrimination which was suffered by some communities of the society. The need and the next is the need of the reservation is just to sorry the reservation are just made to prevent a caste supremacy from the outward denying the less privileged from the backward classes which are SC, ST, OBC and economically weaker sections of the society uh, their right to learn and work altogether. Today in India, there is more than 50% of reserved seats in the government institutes or the government jobs. And as per me, reservation is a good practice which was accepted by our India uh, to put an end to the world system in India and to bring equality in our India. The next is reservation gave right to the employment, right to education, etc. to the communities which were considered untouchables. But in today's time, we can see various negative effects of reservation as well. Like many of the politicians do politics on the basis of the caste, which creates negative thoughts between other two castes. So it will create casteism. Next is deserved one will not get the what he deserves. And lastly, I would like to conclude that the reservation should be there, but reservation should be there, but only on the basis of the economical level, not on the basis of the caste. Thank you.
Okay, very age-old topic, generally figures in SSBs, reservation system, especially in lecturate, even in GDs. Earlier it used to be very regular topic, and now also situation has again cropped up where so much of caste system and religion crisis or the conflict is figuring in. In fact, it breaks the nation. It breaks the bonhomie among the societies, and it is a real threat to any nation, which is exactly the scenario today. Can we dream of casteless society? Someone was talking the other day that we need cashless society, but more than that, we need casteless society. Then only our nation, which we theoretically say that our nation, our motherland is great and all those things. But once we divide ourselves on these lines, that is the end of it. A nation cannot prosper, and in future if it continues cannot survive also. Nations get broken. History reveals a lot of examples where when you divide yourself on these fault lines, you cannot move together, you will pull each other, you will fight, and a lot of energy and resources are wasted on that, and that is exactly happening around us. So at least people who are sensible, people who are thinking about society and nation must not get indulged into these cheap topics, must not differentiate based on caste or religion, must differentiate only on qualities. Good human being, bad human being. That is the only criteria. But yes, when you are required to talk on such topics, today maybe the situation has come where economic differentiation can be a reservation system criteria. A person who is poor must get reservation or some kind of financial assistance, but merit should not be compromised. Purely based on reservation, if someone gets job or promotion, which is by no logic will be good for nation or an organization. Imagine any any person of even smallest intellect will not agree to a fact where suppose after the NEET exam, if someone is to be heading for doctor profession, how can we sideline someone who's more meritorious and deserving and intellectual to do justice to the one of the toughest study oriented field, and we get a person inferior in merit to the vacancy of such post? That person is benefited, okay, but the nation is suffering. We will lose quality in these kind of expert demanded field, and that is how we see now 18,000 plus people were stuck for MBBS related degrees in Ukraine. Why? Because so many meritorious student, I'm not saying all, but most of the meritorious student cannot dream of getting vacancy here, so they have to perforce go out. Money is exported, then it is drained. At times talent is drained, they don't work here because this is the model which is actually failing us. We can have economy based reservation, but that is debatable, all those topics. Okay, anyone who wants to speak, or we will go for group discussion next stage?
Sir, I want to speak.
Subodh, okay, you were I think offline in between. Okay, Utkarsh, keep time.
Yes, sir. Wait just a minute. You can start.
Okay. So, good morning, gentlemen. Today's my topic is about nuclear energy. So, nuclear energy. We use nuclear energy in many sectors, and it is very beneficial. But we have to use nuclear energy in a very constrained manner, because if there is outbreak of nuclear energy, so definitely we have to face the havoc of it. So first of all, the elements which are used for the power generation of the nuclear energy is thorium, plutonium, uranium. With the help of these elements, we can generate nuclear energy. That is the tremendous. With the help of this amount, we can generate a tremendous amount of energy. Nuclear energy is beneficial to produce electricity because the power loss with the help of the nuclear energy is very less as compared to the power produced by the hydroelectric power energy, hydroelectricity energy, and
Okay, I think some internet disconnection at Subodh end. We'll see whether he comes back. Sanjeevani, all well?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I spoke to Abhaya yesterday. So you have to just forget about all episodes. Okay, Sanjeevani?
Yes, sir.
Okay, move on. Okay,
sir, I'm
Subodh.
audible?
Okay, continue.
Sir, I'm audible now?
Yes, yes, go ahead.
Okay, sir. So, good morning to all. Today's my topic is regarding nuclear energy. So, nuclear energy. With the help of the three elements, we can generate nuclear energy. With the help of thorium, plutonium, and uranium, we can generate it. The fact and the benefits regarding the nuclear energy generation is we can use nuclear energy in many sectors, in military sectors, in industrial sectors, and we can also use the nuclear energy to generate the electricity. Because when we generate the electricity with the help of the nuclear energy, so the power loss is very less as compared to the energy generated with the help of the hydroelectric power sectors. And because of that, it is very beneficial and it is very sustainable to the environment. Because we know that with the help of the other devices, we can create a lot of pollution in the environment. But the nuclear energy is the sustainable and renewable source of energy which we can use, and there is zero carbon emission regarding that, so we can also protect the environment with the help of it. But there are lots of side effects also of nuclear energy, because if we did not handle nuclear energy in a very systematic way, so definitely it will lead to havoc. As the same we can see in the Fukushima incident in 2011, then the Ukraine incident happened. Then, if I talk about the incident which was happened in Russia as well as in USA, so these kinds of incidents were happened just because they not control the nuclear energy in a very systematic way. If we control it and if we use it in a very constructive way, so definitely we can grow. Because if our power cut is less, uh, if our uh, if our power cut is less, so definitely we can generate the tremendous amount of energy, and we can also generate the employment if our factories grow. But there are some of the issues. To set up the nuclear power plant or to set up the nuclear energy power plant, we have to invest a lot in that, and it is a very slow process. Because we can't build nuclear power plant in a very straight in a very 1 year or 2 years, so it can take a time, and it is a very slow process. Now, coming towards the current scenario, that is the Russia-Ukraine war. In that, when Russia said that we will not attack on Ukraine, and Ukraine signed the nuclear non-proliferation treaty. So it is one of the things that Ukraine has signed. But today they are facing the impact of it. That is not having the self-reliancy. Because in today's world, self-reliance is very important, as we can see, and as we can draw lessons from the Russia-Ukraine conflict. Because Russia is now totally nuclear powered, and we can't even thought that if Russia attacked on Ukraine, the nuclear war, so definitely it will create a lot of havoc and it will leads to the World War III. But it will not happen, because nuclear energy is a such energy. If it leaks, so definitely we have to face the consequences of it. Same thing happened in the Hiroshima and Nagasaki. The presence of the particles of nuclear energy not fade away after 70 or 40 years of that incident. So from that point of view, we can see how we can how the havoc created by the nuclear energy can be tackled. So lastly, I want to conclude that, and according to my opinion, I think that apart from this hazardous effects, we can also use nuclear energy in a constructive manner to protect our environment. Because our target means to uh, net zero carbon emission is to 2030 as per as the Glasgow summit, and with the help of the nuclear energy, we can achieve it as fast as possible. Thank you.
Okay. A clean energy, nuclear energy, or renewable energy sources. We are looking for these choices because we want to improve environment. Carbon credit system will play more role, and that is how nuclear energy is taking a lot of importance. But it is not easy to develop in such sectors. A lot of risks are there. We have seen some of the cases, especially from Japan, where a small leak can be a big problem. Similarly, when during Russia-Ukraine war, when there was a threat that nuclear power plant was there, and if it is leaking or what, so such kind of scenarios are very dangerous, and from that angle also, it is very difficult to carry out development in this sector because a lot of precautions are to be taken. After all, it is a very sophisticated field, and it requires highest level of expertise to develop, and we are heading towards it. But unfortunately today we are in a very primary stage. We are not the leader in this field, and that is how our energy requirement is not meeting properly. Coal based energy, presently almost 70% energy requirement comes from coal, and that is a not a very good sign. Okay. Anyone else, or we can then set platform for group discussion. So first part we will end here, and second part I will just give you a few tips, and then we will start.